Greetings and thank you for tuning in to Mr. Story Channel, where you can experience the most fascinating moments on Reddit. It's time for our first story. My wife, 38 female, told me, 39 male, that she doesn't love me and never did. How should I proceed? I overheard my wife telling her friend that she doesn't love me and never did. She married me because she was pregnant and thought that after giving birth to our baby, she might fall in love with me, but that never happened. When her friend left, I immediately asked her about it, and we had an emotional discussion. She didn't deny it. She told me the same thing she told her friend and said it's true. That's how she feels. I asked her why she married me then. She said she'd rather marry a man she doesn't love but who treats her right, with respect, takes care of her and her children, than a man she loves but who is a fool, incompetent, or lazy. I was shocked and hurt. I asked her what she thinks about our marriage, and she said it's the marriage she always wanted. To our credit, our marriage is really good. Respect is everything, so we never overstep each other's boundaries, and when we have a problem, we figure it out as a team. She never cheated, sexted, or did anything like that because she respects me too much, respects our marriage, and loves our children. Her words, not mine. She also said she knows it's the same on my part. I told her I'd like some time to think about it, and she said to take as much time as I need, assuring me she isn't going anywhere and will accept and work on whatever I decide. I don't know what to do. I'm hurt and confused. So I've been living a dream marriage with a woman who doesn't love me one bit. Basically, she settled for me because I was the best option at the time. To her credit, she's been an amazing wife and mother to our kids, boy, 9 years old, girl, 11 years old. I have no doubts about her. She never cheated or hurt me in any other way. She is hardworking, always honest, and is a good role model for our children. I've been thinking of some things I could do. Maybe marriage counseling, but our marriage is one-sided in the love department. I love her with all my heart, and she knows that. I don't know how marriage counseling will help because it won't change her feelings towards me. I don't want a divorce. I love her. Our marriage is amazing, and our children have parents who are really there for them and who, if I can humbly say, are good role models. To sum it up, my part of the marriage is completely filled with love and respect, while hers is entirely based on respect alone. Minor edit. She earns more than me, so she isn't with me for my money. We have been married for 12 years and have known each other for about 15. Do some of the people who comment or advise me even read my post? I'm really confused by some of the answers. What would you do in OP's shoes? Tell me in the comments below. If you are enjoying these stories, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. This helps a lot. Thanks. And for our next story, am I the jerk for telling my sister-in-law that her family can't stay at my beach house anymore, even though they helped build it? I'm 31 and my husband is 38. We live about 3 hours away from my sister-in-law's family, her husband, and 2 kids. A few years ago, my husband and I bought a really rundown property on the coast, a couple hours from where we live. I wanted to make a project of fixing it up. My husband liked the idea and was happy to support it, but it was mostly my project. I really put a lot of effort into fixing it as cheaply as possible, went over and stayed there for many nights, and literally did a lot of the construction. My husband came and helped about half the time. I sourced recycled wood and such, so almost all the materials are found in some way. Once it was partially finished, I thought I could enlist my sister-in-law's help, so I told her about this project and asked if she wanted to come stay over for a few days with her family and help finish up the work. She brought her kids and husband and slept out on the deck and did things like the painting, building some furniture, etc. When it was finished, it was really beautiful. We started renting it out on Airbnb and have had good success with that so far. I did say that my sister-in-law's family could come stay anytime because they helped with it. There's 2 parts to the house that have separate kitchens and bathrooms, so we've kept the top for us and my sister-in-law's family and the bottom for Airbnb. Last week, they were there, at the same time as some paid guests. I got a complaint from the guests afterward that my sister-in-law's kids had made fun of their kids, and that my sister-in-law told them that this was their house, so the guests don't get to dictate how their kids behave. I asked my sister-in-law about this, and she said their kids wanted to play with the guests' kids on the beach, and the guests' kids tried to ask her kids to leave them alone, but they wouldn't. They were playing volleyball, and her kids were much better and rightfully proud of it. I got pissed, and I told her she wasn't allowed to stay there anymore if she couldn't be considerate of the fact that this is also a business, and you can't be a jerk to customers or anyone else. Now she says I'm the jerk because I promised she could stay anytime. Am I in the wrong for revoking her rights to use my beach house for this? Next story. Would I be the jerk if I called out my cousin to the whole family about the name she's chosen for her baby? Sorry for any mistakes. This is my first Reddit post. I, 32 female, come from a fairly large family. With my dad's side being Italian, we've always been extremely close. I have 2 older siblings, a brother and sister, and a younger half-brother. Growing up, we were thick as thieves with our cousins. They were as good as sisters to me and my siblings. Me and my older siblings lost our mom when I was 10 months old. My dad was driven into alcoholism, which led to us being put into foster care for a while. With how hard our mom's loss hit my family, no one from the extended family ever talked about her. No one brought her up or really mentioned her to us out of fear of sending my dad back into alcoholism. On top of all of that, we also lost our dad back in 2016. A while back, both my sister Stacy and cousin Beth, fake names, announced they were pregnant. Stacy has a boy and Beth has a girl. About 2 months ago, Stacy reached out to Beth and asked her about baby names they're thinking of. Beth and her husband had gone back and forth on names, but the first one they agreed on was our dead mother's name. Stacy nicely told Beth that me, her, and our brother have all talked about using our mom's name for one of our own kids. And if she were to use it, it would hurt all of us greatly. So you'd think that would be the end of it. But no. I imagine growing up with parents who made a lot of money and rarely told you no can sometimes make one lack empathy. After Stacy and Beth talked, Beth ghosted Stacy for 6 weeks. After which, she sent me and my older siblings a group text in which she stated that they're moving forward with using our dead mother's name. Not because they want to honor our mom, and not because it holds some family significance on her husband's side. It's literally just the first name the 2 of them agreed on. Stacy has always been the one to speak for our sibling pack, but she's pregnant and needs to stay calm. I already dedicated myself to my Disney villain era, so I went up to bat for me and my siblings and bluntly responded to Beth. If I can, I'll post the messages in the comments because of the character limit. I love my family, but if my dad were still alive, he'd be raising more than just hell upon my cousin. I really want to bring this up with the entire family. I want to make it perfectly clear where I and my siblings stand and what my boundaries are. I don't want to be at any gathering with Beth or her child. I don't want anyone to mention her child's name around me. They didn't mention my mom around us for 23 years. They can do it again. I feel bad because my uncle, Beth's dad, has always been there for us. He got us back to our dad when we were in foster care, and he helped with all the legal shit when our dad died. I just don't know if I'd be a jerk if I brought this up before Beth announces the name to the whole family. This is a very tough subject for Opie and their family. Next story. My boyfriend doesn't want to allow me half of the home sale. My boyfriend, male 34, and I, female 31, are purchasing a home. This is not a should we post. There are multiple reasons why we have decided this is best for us and our relationship. We both own homes and have assets. I plan on selling my home. He's on the loan and both are on the deed. I make $60,000 before taxes, and he makes twice that. We have a cohabitation agreement written up by a lawyer and are disagreeing on what should go into it. Originally, we agreed that, in the worst-case scenario, we'd split the sale of the home 50-50. Well, he has now backtracked and wants to split the home equitably in the worst-case scenario because this is how we decided to split household finances. He sees this as fair. I don't think there's a way to make it fair. I have several issues with this for the following reasons. I obviously make significantly less, and I'm selling my home, which I can easily afford on my own. In the worst-case scenario, if I need to purchase something on my own, I will need to put significant money down to afford a new mortgage due to interest rates, inflation, etc. Marriage is on the horizon, and if this is supposed to be our home, then I don't see why it should be more or less than 50-50ths because it's our asset. It feels like he's putting us against each other financially just because he's contributing more to the household. In all scenarios, he pays more because he makes more, but I'm still contributing to said household, but I should get less in the sale of the home? Also, he could technically stay in the home and afford the mortgage and more on his own, but he says he wouldn't if it came down to it. On the other hand, I absolutely couldn't afford the whole mortgage. I also feel like, as the breadwinner and my future partner, he should care about my financial well-being. And this makes me feel like I have to defend why I'd need half the sale since I'd be worse off. I'd just like some outside, unbiased input on opinions. Edit. It seems the general consensus seems to agree that an equitable split is the way to go since there's also future repairs to consider in the event of future repairs. Admittedly, I didn't account for that, and I'm reconsidering my standpoint a little more. Aside from the important legal things, I'm feeling kind of down. Not because of the money but more so because it feels like such a business negotiation and not an exciting thing we get to do together. It feels like he's created this narrative where figuring out how money is split is more important than the excitement of doing this together. I asked for half because I felt like I needed it more to be stable in the worst case, not because I wanted it per se. It makes me sad because it's embarrassing. I'd need it more, and I feel like I'm being indirectly told I'm trying to take all his money and I'm a freeloading gold digger. I could be reading into it too much, which is possibly dramatic. In the end, does it really matter if you're married and together anyway? I know comparison is the thief of joy, but I know others who have purchased homes with their significant others under similar circumstances with no hesitations, just excitement and love. I'm feeling envious that their experience didn't feel like such a contract, which I know literally needs to happen, lol, and yes, to a degree, it is a business transaction, but I'm just a girl with feelings. Edit 2. I cannot rent my home. Unfortunately, due to a program that I purchased the home through, it must be my primary residence for the life of the loan. If I rent, I will be fined a large penalty. The only way out is to refinance, and that doesn't make sense given the interest rates. There are huge incentives to this program if you just want to purchase a primary home, not a rental. To clarify, my boyfriend contributes significantly to household chores and is very consistent in doing so. He does tend to think more logically than emotionally, but he is still emotionally present in the relationship and does his side of the work both at home and in our relationship. I am in no way trying to imply that he does not contribute in other ways, and I do all the emotional labor because I can't in good faith say that's true. He's an amazing partner and very good with his finances, so he's just hyper-focused and hyper-independent at times. I can be that way too, and I like to be on top of things. I am very much a planner and very stubborn. I'm just not as financially free or diligent as he is. Let's see some comments. The logical thing would be to split the sale value of the home, should that occur, according to the amount you both put into it. So if you both put in $50,000 from the sale of your existing properties and are paying the mortgage 50/50ths, then you should both get 50/50ths out of the sale if that proves necessary. On the other hand, if he is paying twice what you are toward the mortgage, then selling at 50/50 would leave him significantly out of pocket. And another person said, I get what you're saying, but what happens when they're painting or refinishing the floors? Boyfriend will pay more. AC breaks, roof leaks, water heater issues, plumbing problems, etc. Same thing, boyfriend will contribute more money. I'm not saying this means you should get more if they break up. I'm just pointing out that 100% equity doesn't exist and isn't a realistic goal. The only marriages I have ever seen work long-term are those where both people have similar financial values and where both people have an attitude of, we're in this together. It's all our money versus separate accounts. Apart from that, I wouldn't sell the house if I were the girlfriend. I'd rent it and earn income from it. Real estate is never a bad investment. How do you think Opie and her boyfriend should proceed if they want to have a healthy relationship? Tell me in the comments below. And for our next story, am I the jerk for canceling dinner while my husband was at work? Context. My husband owns a coffee shop that usually closes at 10 p.m., but sometimes he would close it earlier if he wanted to. Tonight, my 24 female husband, 25 male, told me that we should eat out for dinner since we didn't have food at home. I said yes and suggested that we go out around 9 p.m. and told him I'd put the kids to bed at 8 p.m. with the house clean and everything. He agreed, and by 8:30, both kids were already asleep and the house was clean. I messaged him that I'm ready and if we could go now. He said that he still has a customer, and I was fine with it and mentioned something about the food. However, he didn't respond, and then 9:30 rolled around, so I messaged him again. Nothing. At this point I was starving and getting angrier by the minute. I kept messaging and calling him, but there was no response. I was getting upset because he does this all the time. I would usually be fine, but tonight I was hungry, plus the kids woke up. I messaged him that I was going to just fry an egg, and this dinner is over. He can eat out alone. That's when he started messaging me again, telling me he was busy and he could just order me food, but I told him to forget it because I'm not going to starve myself again waiting for him. He got upset and said that I should be more understanding because he was working, but he does this so much that I don't want to deal with it anymore. Am I the jerk now? I'm not mad that we didn't go out. It was the principle of just telling me if we were going to eat or not. Edit to add. I didn't mention a lot of things that you all want information about, so here goes. 1. Who was looking after the kids? This one caused a mass panic. My dad lives with us. He usually looks after them when I'm not present. 2. What did the kids and Grandpa eat if there wasn't any food? The dinner I cooked earlier that night. I didn't cook anything for me and my husband because he wanted to eat out. 3. Why not have a snack? I did, but it wasn't cutting it because I was an exhausted mom who needed more than just a snack at that point. Plus, if I ate any more, I would have lost my appetite. 4. Why not just go to his place and bring food? We live in a small town, and the shop is located in a neighborhood that is unsafe to walk in at night. I don't have any means of transportation, and doing a 20-minute walk isn't really a safe option. 5. He said he was busy with a customer. He said that around 8:30 for dinner, the date was 9, which was the time the customer left. However, relatives came by, and he wanted to entertain them, but he didn't bother to tell me that until around 10:30. 6. Why suggest dinner at 9 when the shop closes at 10? The place he wanted to go to closes at 10, but since we often go there around that time, it has become a habit for him to message the resto beforehand. So when we arrive, the food is ready and we are out of there after 30 minutes. 7. Don't plan a date during the work hours. I agree, poor planning, but earlier in our conversation, he was complaining that it was a slow night and we should just close the shop early. 8. What do you mean by, he does this all the time? I mean, he would make a plan and not go through with it, and that's not just when he was working. He would make plans with me and then be out with other friends or family later. When our time came to do something, he would stop responding and would respond much later. 9. Ungrateful for being a BTCH that he had to work late, while I just sat my spoiled but waiting for food in my mouth. I was going to ruin business with my attitude. Where did you all get that? I was fully capable of feeding myself, but he insisted on the dinner together. Also, why would I want to ruin a business I initially funded? I also work and am the main provider. I didn't think this information was relevant. Y'all are wild for making that assumption. The part where I was upset was not giving me a quick update, not the part where he was still working. Thank you for everyone's response. I appreciate it. I will discuss setting hard boundaries regarding set times for dates. Also, it was hilarious seeing y'all make assumptions about me. Thanks for the laugh. ETA. I live in a Southeast Asian country where, 1. Living with a relative is the norm, hence why I didn't mention it. I honestly forgot that it wasn't the case for other countries. 2. The COVID restriction was lifted years ago, so that's why most of the food businesses here close around 10 p.m. or later. It's normal. The neighborhood we live in isn't the safest for a woman to walk around alone that late, but that doesn't mean that a couple of people wouldn't go hang out at a coffee shop. It's not that deep. Also, I would appreciate it if you would actually read the part that stated it was his idea to close early. Next story. Would I be the jerk for no longer giving my ex her allowance? I, 30 male, have been living with my girlfriend, 31 female, for a little over a year. We share just about everything and have been through a lot of rough times, including living in her car together. When I got a new job, she indicated that she wanted to go back to college to finish her medical degree. I was fully supportive of this, and we worked out the details of our budget together. We considered the money I was bringing in as our money, not mine. This was mutually agreed upon by both of us when we made the budget, that I would be responsible for paying for things, bills, food, etc., until she graduated. Included in our budget was a small amount each of spending money, essentially an allowance for each of us. We could spend our allowance on whatever we wanted and often would spend our allowances on each other, gifts, paying for date night, etc. Now I will preface this by saying it is entirely my fault this has happened. I have lived most of my life with undiagnosed bipolar disorder and ADHD. I recently got them diagnosed, but I am still learning the ins and outs of how to behave like a normal person. I am quick to get angry when I'm doing something and get interrupted. I often assume that when someone is upset about something, they are upset at it or blame me for it, which causes me to get hyper-defensive. I don't do well at expressing my emotions or how much I care about things or people. I know all of these are issues of mine and not the responsibility of anyone else to fix. While my girlfriend has been supportive and tried her best to help me with these issues, as well as making me take more interest in caring for myself properly, she recently hit her limit. It wasn't anything. I've never laid hands on her, never threatened her, and barely raised my voice. However, my attitude reflects my emotions, even when I am aware of what I'm doing and actively trying to calm myself down. She broke up with me, saying that we need to fix our friendship before we can consider being in a relationship. I do not disagree. Over the last few months, things have been steadily sliding downhill, and I can see the logic of her decision. I do not blame her, I do not hate her, and I am not upset with her over this decision, and I do want us to remain friends through this. She, in my eyes, has done nothing wrong here. Now, there were certain things I agreed to that I would not feel comfortable taking back. For example, I am not comfortable dumping her car payment, cell phone bill, food for her dogs, etc. on her over this. These, as far as I am concerned, are the basic necessities of life, and she is going to school full-time. Since all of her necessities are taken care of, I do not feel like it is fair to me to have to continue giving her additional money. Would I be the jerk if I stopped giving her that money but continued keeping up the rest of my promise to her? Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in and watching until the end. Your support means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you saw and want to stay updated on future content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when I release new videos, and you'll be helping to support my channel. So, go ahead and click that subscribe button, and let's keep this journey going together. Thanks again for your support.